Alright, your next project is going to be the ToyBox Project. Now what you're going to want to do is get some measurements. Now this video is going to show you how you use the calipers to complete this project. So I'm going to sketch a basic square because that's the shape that the cube is in. So I'm going to take the calipers and make sure that they're calibrated to 0 so that my measurements are accurate. I'm going to measure the width of the box and to see what the width is. And as I clamp down on the calipers, you see it's 70 millimeters. So I know the width is equal to 70. So I write 70 millimeters. Now I need to figure out what the length is. So I'm going to turn the box on its side and I'm going to measure with the calipers, and I basically get 70 millimeters. I'm going to round up. So I have a 70 by 70 square. Now you could go in Onshape and draw a center point square 70-70, which I'll show you in a second. Now the last thing I need to find is the height of the cube. So I'm going to draw a three-dimensional shape just to signify what I'm measuring, and I'm going to measure the height right here on the side. So I'm going to take the cube on its side and then I'm going to measure with the calipers. And basically, again, I'm going to round up and it's 70 millimeters high. So all you have to do now is basically go into Onshape and draw out a 70 center point square and extrude to 70 millimeters, and you will have the basic shape to work with for the ToyBox project. So at this time you'll go to Onshape, log in, and draw the cube. Okay, now you're going to sign into Onshape, and your first step is to draw out the square and also make the cube. So what you're going to do is go to Create, a new document, type in ToyBox Project, and put your name. Please do not type your name, put your actual name, and click OK. Now, the same steps that you always do, you want to go ahead and make sure you're working in millimeters. So go to the 3 bars, go to Workspace Units, change inches to millimeters, and hit check. Go to the front and click on the eye, go to the right and click on the eye, and left click on the top so you're looking straight down. Now what you're going to do is go click on Sketch, bring your mouse over to the top sketch plane, and left click. You're now doing Sketch 1. You're going to go up to the rectangle tool, click on the arrow, and you're going to left click on Center Point Rectangle. Bring your cursor to the center till you see the tangent point, left click, and then pull your mouse out to the right and left click. Immediately type 70 and then enter, and 70 and then enter. Go to Extrude and go to type in 70 and hit enter, and then hit check. Now if you hold the right button down, you can see we have the ToyBox shape created. So your next step is to cut out the square shape and extrude and remove what's inside. The next step is to figure out what the cutaway will be to hollow out the box. So what I'm going to do is draw the top of the box and then measure out how wide and long the inside cutaway is. So the way that I can do that is first I'm going to write step 2 and basically write the cutaway shape. Now what you're going to do is draw a square on your sheet of paper, and we're going to collect some measurements. I only really need one measurement, and that is I need to see where the X and Y coordinate is of the bottom left or whatever corner you pick of the lid. So I'm going to measure, and the X looks like it's going to be 5 millimeters. Alright, and then the Y looks like it's going to be 5 millimeters. So all I have to do is draw a line from the bottom left corner and go across on the X 5 and then go up 5, and then all I have to do now is draw a center point square and connect it to that point that you see, and it will make the exact cutaway. Now the depth actually is going to be 68 millimeters, and I failed to show that to you in the video, but I'll show you now in the next video how to do that. So what you're going to do now is go in Onshape, and you're going to sketch on the top face of the cube. So I'm going to go Sketch, and I'm going to click on top of the cube, and then I'm going to left click on top so I'm looking straight down. Now I'm going to go to the line tool like you used in the previous project, I'm going to pick the bottom left corner and left click and draw a line to the right and type 5 millimeters. And then I'm going to go up, straight up 5 millimeters and hit enter. Now all I have to do is go to the center point rectangle, left click on the dot in the middle, drag it down to the dot that I just drew and click. Now I go to extrude, I hit remove, and I type in 68 millimeters and I hit enter and I hit check. Now I have hollowed out the box, so now the second step is done. The third step is to sketch on the front face, the tray outline, so that you can have a lid go into your box. Alright, the third step is to figure out what the lid is. So I'm going to draw the box and I'm going to draw the outline or the shape of the lid part of the toy box. This will help me figure out what lines that I need to measure and then what measurements I will use. So I've got 1, 2, 3 different measurements that I need, and then I'll just do the midpoint and mirror them. So you really need to figure them out. So the first one is going to be 4.75 millimeters. So I'm going to draw a line in the top left of my front of the box, and it's going to go straight across 4.75 millimeters. Now I need to figure out how far down I go, and it is 1.5 millimeters thick. So I'm then going to draw a line straight down, 1.5 millimeters. And then the width of the line is going to be, looks like 2 millimeters. So then I'm going to immediately draw a line going back 2 millimeters. And then next I need to see how high I need to go, or how far down I need to go. And it looks like it's going to be 5.8 millimeters. So now that I've got my measurements, I can pretty much draw the lid assembly at this time. Alright, your next step is to draw the tray for the lid for the toy box. What you're going to do is go left click on the front of the cube so you're centered in the screen, go to sketch and left click on the face. Now not always can you see this dot up here, so it's good practice to go to the use tool and left click on the dot in the top left corner. You're going to go to the line and you're going to left click on that dot and draw across. Now I know in the previous video I said 4.75, but it actually needs to be 5, and you're going to hit enter. Then you're going to draw a line straight down and you're going to type in 1.5 and hit enter. Now I'm going to try to do something to make your life a little bit easier. What I'm going to do is stop right here and not continue to draw the rest of the outline, but get you to get rid of one of the top parts first. So what you're going to do is go back to your line, left click on it, left click on the line tool, and let's find the midpoint. So you're going to trace, left click on the midpoint and go up. You're going to click on the mirror tool, you're going to click on the mirror line, and what you're going to do is left click on this line and this line. Now all you have to do is left click on the line now and left click on this dot and go to this dot. Now what I want you to do is left click on this top dot and go all the way across and connect to this dot. Then what I want you to do is click extrude and just hit remove and hit check. This should make your life a little bit easier, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, now what you're going to do is left click on sketch, and you're going to left click on the face again, and you're going to left click on front and zoom in. You're going to go up to the use tool and you're going to click on this line and this line, and then what you're going to do is go to your line tool, left click on this dot, go straight across and type in 2 and hit enter, and go down and hit 5.8 and hit enter. Now all you have to do is left click on that line again, left click on it one more time, and if we zoom out and go to the bottom, you can left click on the origin down here and go up straight, go to the mirror tool, left click on that line, and now all I have to do is left click on this line and left click on this line. Now what you've done is drawn that box shape, or almost that box shape, out. You're going to draw a line now from this point to this point, and then what you're going to do next is draw a line from this point to this point. You will then go to extrude, you'll hit remove, and you'll type in 68 and hit enter and hit check. And now you have the tray lid slot done. So you're good to go for this part. Alright, your next step is to figure out how to draw the shapes of the toy box. Now this is really important you watch this part of the video because the rest is on you. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to use the X and Y coordinates like you did on the cell phone stand to redraw the points on the box. So you have three shapes on this side, and I'm going to start with the top left shape. So I'm going to sketch out a square on the sheet of paper, and then what I'm going to try to do is show you how you can find coordinates of the corners of each shape and use the Y and X to find that point and draw the shape. So for the first shape, I'm going to take the calipers and I'm going to measure the height. That's your Y. Looks like it's going to be 10.5. So what I'm going to do are 10.4. I'm going to draw a line down and I'm going to write 10.4 for the first point or the corner of that shape. And I'm going to go ahead and draw the shape so that I can keep track of my measurements. And then I'm going to draw a line that goes down 10.4 millimeters. Then the width or the X of that line is 13 millimeters. So all I have to do is go down Y 10.4 and over 13. So now I have the X and Y for the first part. Then I'm going to measure that line since it's straight and it looks like it's 13 millimeters. So all I have to do once I find that point is then draw a 13 millimeter straight line, and it makes the top line of that shape for me. Now the last point I need is the bottom left corner since we can use the mirror tool. So I'm going to go ahead and record the X and Y just so that I have the measurements written down so I don't forget. 10.4 on the Y and then 13 on the X, and then that line is 13 millimeters straight across. Now I got to find the Y and the X for the bottom left corner. So I go to the height, I make sure the calipers are on top of the box, and I find that edge, and it looks like it's 26.5 millimeters. So you're going to draw the line down, and that line's going to be 26.5 millimeters. Your next step is to find the X. So I'm going to measure from the left side of the cube until I find that corner. Now you can do it like that, or you can get a better measurement probably like so. So 7.5 millimeters on the X. So now all I have to do is draw a line that's going down 26.5 and go over 7.5. Now you're actually going to see that I can use the mirror tool and reflect the lines and connect that line. So I'm done with that shape. Now I'm going to move on to the second shape. Now that ellipse is actually not that hard to draw. I'm going to find the midpoint of the first shape, and I see that it's 10 millimeters. So all I have to do is draw a straight line from the midpoint of that shape and go across 10 millimeters. That'll give me the first point of the ellipse. Then I'm going to measure the width of the ellipse to see how wide it has to be, and it's looks like it is 23 millimeters. So all I have to do is draw a line that's straight across, and it's 23 millimeters. Now I have to find the height of it. So what I'm going to do next is take the digital calipers and I'll measure inside to see what the height is or the width. And it looks like 16 is a good number. So I'm going to go up 8 and down 8 with a straight line. And all I have to do is connect an ellipse tool to those coordinates. The last shape is the rhombus. So I know it's in the middle of the box, so I know I'm going to start there. Now what I need to do is figure out what the height is of that first point. And it looks like if I do the calipers, it's 8 millimeters. So all I have to do is draw a straight line going up 8 millimeters. Then I'm going to figure out how high to go and what the length is inside. Again, sometimes it's better to measure on the outside, and it looks like it's 28 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is then draw a straight line up, and that's 28 millimeters. Now all I have to do is figure out the middle, what the width is. And I know it's in the middle, so I'm going to go across and determine what the width is. And it looks like it's 16 millimeters. So I find the midpoint of the line, go to the left 8, go to the right 8, and then I can just connect all the lines, and then all I have to do is extrude and remove the shapes from the side of the face. Okay, your Fourth step now is to draw the shapes on the left side of the toy box and remove them so you have the cutaways on the toy box. So you're going to hold the right button down and turn to the right, and then you're going to left click on the left face of the cube. You're going to go up to sketch and left click on the face, and I'm now going to take those coordinates and draw the shapes so you can see how you do this. Just like the cell phone, this is our Y, this is our X. So I'm going to take the coordinates for each corner of the objects I found and draw them for you. So I'm going to go to the line tool. I'm going to left click in the top left corner and start drawing down on the Y line. I'm then going to type in 10.4 and hit enter. And then on the X, I'm going to go to the right and click and type 13 and hit enter. Now I'm going to continue to draw another line straight across to the right and left click and type 13, since I know that top line of the shape is 13 millimeters and I measured it. Now this dot right here was the top left corner that I found with the Y and X coordinates that I showed you. Now I'm going to right click escape the line. I'm going to go to the scissor tool and I'm going to delete this line and this line since I don't need them anymore. Now I'm going to click on the line tool again, start on that origin. I'm going to left click and go down this Y line and type 26.5 and hit enter. Then what I'm going to do is go to the right, and actually it needs to be 7 and not 7.5 and hit enter. And then I'm just going to go up to that top dot and connect. Now I have half of the shape done. So all I have to do now is go to the midpoint on this line and left click and go down. I go to the mirror tool, click on that line, and left click on this line. Now I will tell you, using the mirror tool will greatly speed up this process so you don't have to measure every single corner. Then I'm going to left click on the line and just go across and connect. So I now have the first shape drawn and everything is good to go. Now what I'm going to do is take the line and find the midpoint of this line and draw across to the right like you saw earlier. Now please don't ever connect like you see right here, because then you'll never be able to move the line. I'm going to go over to the right, and then I'm going to type in 10 millimeters since that's what I found. I'm then going to draw a straight line across and type in the number 25 and hit enter. I'm then going to draw a line from that point to the midpoint. I'm going to go up 8 and enter, and then I'm going to go down and hit 16, enter, since that's pretty much 8 and 8. Now what you're going to do is go to the drop down menu on the circle, go to your ellipse. You're going to left click on that center dot, draw out to this point and click. You're then going to move up and click on this point. You're then going to take your scissors and let's clean up some of these inside lines since we no longer need them. And I will get rid of all of these lines since we no longer need them. The last step is to go to the line tool, and I found that the rhombus was in the middle of the box. So you're going to go to this midpoint, left click and go up, and you're going to type in 8. You're immediately going to draw a straight line up, and you're going to type in the number 28 and hit enter. You're then going to go to the line tool and left click on it, left clicking on it again, find the midpoint, left click and go to the right and type 8. Since 8 plus 8 is 16, you can go straight back across like so and left click and type in 16 and hit enter. Now all I have to do is draw a line to this dot, 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 and I'm ready to go to the scissor tool and left click and get rid of all these inside lines and get rid of this bottom line. All I have to do at this point is hit extrude and hit remove and hit check. Now I have the first shape cutouts done. Now I'm going to tell you right now that the mirror tool is your friend and that you want to use it. There are a lot of shapes that you're going to need to use that with. Now on the front, I'm going to give you some clues. When you measure, please measure from this point, and what you're going to do is you're going to left click on this face and you're going to draw a line from this corner. Now notice I can't click on it, so I'm going to go to the use tool and click on that point. And what I'm going to do is draw a line all the way out to this line and left click. From now on, when you do the Y coordinates, this is 0, 0 for you. You don't want to use the top since you can't find the top because You remove this part of it, so it's hard to measure. Just keep that in mind as your hint. Good luck on this project. I'll be here to help you.